Now I'm happy to announce the opening keynote from Element. Element is going to give an update about polishing their clients, about Element X, about the state of the Element server suite, and I'm really, really pleased to announce Neil and Matthew to give the opening keynote. A warm round of applause, everyone.
Thank you. All right, hello. So yeah, I'm Neil. I'm Chief Engineering Officer at Element. Some of you may recognize me from the demo days at Matrix Live, which was our weekly video we put out via the Foundation channel. And in those videos, my job, it's a great job, I just get to introduce other people's cool stuff. And that's basically what I'm going to do today. We're going to talk a bit about what we've been up to over the last year, where we are right now, and a little peek into the future of where we're going next. We have 20 different talks at this conference by Element staff, either with their Element hats on or their Matrix hats on, and I'm going to try and plug as many of those as I possibly can as we go through, so you get a sense of what's happening. All right, so who remembers 2024? A few of you do. Who? It's the first talk of the day, so I need to do some audience participation. It's the rules. I'm sorry. All right, let's make it easier. Who remembers the conference in 2024? Who was here for that? Okay, some of you were. Welcome back. Who's new? Hey, loads of people. All right. Well, very much. But welcome. So those of you that were there, if you took one thing out of that conference, it was this concept of Matrix 2.0. And this wasn't just one thing, it was a whole bunch of different projects that we drew together, and the idea was to really try and level up the protocol so that it was possible to genuinely compete with centralized messaging apps. And so this was a combination of sliding sync to get you instant launch, to get you instant sync. This was OIDC integration through MAS. This was invisible crypto to make the cryptography just less scary, less intimidating. And this was Matrix RTC, so that you get the same data privacy guarantees that you enjoy for chat in your voice and video. And all together, this came together to be Matrix 2.0. And it wasn't just ideas. We showed up with implementations. On the client side, we had Element X, and on the server side, we had Element Server Suite. And it's all in production. You could use it right there and then in 2024. So, yeah, that was basically it. Mission accomplished, right? Everything solved. Completed it. We can all go to the Bahamas, sit on the beach, drink some rum, spend the whole year there, right? That's what happened? No. Folks, the confetti that we'd thrown in the air in celebration before it even hit the ground, before it even got there, some people, we all know people, some people had questions, comments, ideas to make it even better. I was one of them. I don't want to cast any shade. And the sort of things that came up. Hey, ESS, that looks great. Can I get a Helm chart? And you know, in that era, no, we didn't have that. It's a great idea, though. What about an admin console so I can look after my users? It's like, yeah, not really. Is there a FOSS version of ESS with an upgrade path? Super great idea, but again, not really. I have millions of users. Does ESS really scale? And we did have an answer to this, because Synapse backs the Matrix.org home server instance, the largest instance on the public federation. And as everybody knows, in 2024, the Matrix.org home server was super snappy and fast. It wasn't. And in any case, was Matrix.org even running Matrix 2.0? And the answer to that was sort of. You got sliding sync, but you didn't have MAS. Where are the spaces? Where's the threads? We built this great personal messenger, but it needed parity with the old apps to help people migrate. And can we brand the client and manage it remotely? Great idea. Quite hard to do in a FOSS app, but you couldn't do it out of the box at that point. And what about Element Web, eh? We've just been talking about mobile. When's it getting the Element X treatment? And finally, and probably most importantly, where's the spec? This is supposed to be an open standard. The whole point of why so many people get involved in Matrix is the interoperability. So, long story short, I did not get to go to the Bahamas, I did not get to sit on a beach, and I did not get to spend the year drinking rum. We did an awful lot of other things, though. And I'm going to come back to this slide, and we're going to go through it, and you'll probably hopefully see where I'm going with all of this. But before I do that, we're going to talk a little bit about what was going on with Element over the last year. So, headline, we're in a much more stable and sustainable track. And the reason for this is we've developed this whole Pro family of subscription projects. I'm going to explain a bit what we mean by that in just a moment. But in the early days of the company, the way that we sort of tried to make some money was through support contracts and through sponsorship. And we got some really great advice in our early days from our friends at GitLab who said, don't do that. Don't do that. You need to go down this subscription route, which we completely ignored. And we really shouldn't have done, because this does seem to be a much more sustainable way for us to work. And the idea is we sell these subscriptions and then we can plow that money back into our open source products and also on differentiation. And to give you a sense of this, a year ago, about a third of what we did revenue-wise was subscriptions. These days, it's about 70%. So we've completely reworked how the company works. That said, we still do sponsorship, we still do support contracts, so don't worry, but don't be surprised if we also start talking to you about subscriptions at the same time. All right, I want to explain a bit about what we mean by Pro and what we mean by community. So super high level, community, that is FOSS, that is AGPL. Pro, that is proprietary. Right? There's the two things. But how do we decide what goes into community and what goes into Pro? Because what we don't do is we don't just put all the cool stuff into Pro. If we did that, then I think that would just put a brake on the whole ecosystem. Everyone would suffer. So the way that we think about this is if something empowers the individual, and ideas like that might be things like sliding sync, device cross-signing, or anything to do with cryptography, threads. If it empowers the individual, it goes into community. If it empowers an organization, but the individual might not care so much about it, like company directory integration or mobile device management or audit logs or Cyber Resilience Act compliance. If you don't know Cyber Resilience Act, go and see Amandine Denise's talk tomorrow. It's an important topic. But if it's something that empowers the organization, then it goes into Pro. So that's the difference between the two. Okay, everyone got it? All right. So what did we get up to? This is super high level, but in the winter of 2024, we worked on Synapse Pro. Synapse Pro is our incremental Rust rewrite of Synapse. We had to do this. Matrix.org was really struggling, and we've just been going through Synapse, rebuilding piece by piece all of the hot paths, and we're getting all of the performance and safety guarantees you would expect with a language like Rust. In the spring, we put out ESS TIM edition, so this is for the German healthcare market. We very quietly put out Element Pro Mobile. It was exactly the same as Element X, but it just meant you didn't have to migrate. And most importantly, probably, we put out ESS Community, right? So this is community, this is pure FOSS, and anyone can use that. It's what I use for my own personal home server. You get MAS, you get a VoIP backend, you get Synapse, and it just works. Will and Gail are going to run a workshop to get as many people as possible just to try it out if you want to do that. Over the summer, we were putting out a bunch of documentation, but we were really working furiously behind the scenes for the autumn. And in the autumn, we're talking about ESS Pro, we're talking about Element Admin Panel, launching that, Element Pro Web, Element X for Web. I want to be careful on this. We are not rewriting the web client, but we are using the same philosophy and ideas that we apply to mobile, and we are applying those to web. That's what we mean when we say Element X for Web. And spaces and threads in Element X. You've got spaces today in Element X. It's read-only. It's just the beginning. It's a whole chain of features. We're not just going for parity with what we have on web. We're going way further. But today, we've got read-only spaces, and we have threads. It's threads behind a labs flag, but do give it a go. But if you take anything from this slide, ESS Pro comes of age, Element Pro launches. All right. So how do we do? We're going to go back to the slide from before. And bear in mind, before I show you this, I gave up a year on a beach for this slide. Okay, so I'm just saying, just throw that in there. So welcome to 2025. Can I get a Helm chart for ESS? ESS Pro and Community both come in Helm form. What about an admin console? Element Admin is your friend. It's also in ESS Community. I don't know if I mentioned that. Is there a FOSS version for ESS? Yes, it is ESS Community. I've got millions of users. Does ESS really scale? Synapse Pro It does Rustalicious. Yes, it does. Some of you may have seen Rooney from Medio's talk yesterday, where he shares his own load testing experience between Synapse and Synapse Pro. If you didn't see it, do check out the slides. Is this stuff even running on matrix.org? Well, yes, it is, as of April. If you want to know how that went, go and see Quentin's talk. I think it's later today. And where are spaces and threads in Element X? Well, we talked about this. They landed 2 weeks ago, actually, last week when I wrote it. All right, there's more. What's going on? All right, can we brand and manage it remotely? Element Pro has you covered. What about Element Web? When's it going to get the Element X treatment? We've got a new member list. We've got a new room list. We've got a new architecture and plenty more to come. And what about the spec? Well, Matthew talked about this a bit yesterday. I've given us a tick, but let me explain. So we have 23 MSCs that we've tagged with Matrix 2.0. 11 of them are merged, 5 are right in the final comment period or later. We have 7 MSCs that back Matrix RTC. They're up for final stages. We did not, as we worked through this, we did not want to rush those through. We made a lot of changes in the final days. It looks super, super cool. Go to see Timo's talk or go back in time and see Florian's talk yesterday to understand what that is. But we've basically created some whole new event types to support the VoIP use case. All right, so that's what we've been up to. What we're going to do, we're going to talk a bit more about ESS, then we're going to do a demo, and then we're going to go and talk about the clients, and then I'm going to get off stage and we can get on with our day. All right, so recap. There's three main types of ESS. You've got your community, you've got your pro, which is for doing sort of large-scale stuff, and you've got TI Messenger, which is German healthcare. If you are an existing ESS customer, that means you're on ESS Classic. Do not worry. That's not going anywhere at all. ESS Pro is based on Helm charts, but ESS Classic is here to stay. And we're just putting out an LTS release for that. I think either we have or it's about to go out in the next couple of days. Right, so this is broadly what we're talking about. The main thing, though, I want to get across is ESS Pro is not just a wrapper for Synapse Pro. You get a bunch of other stuff that goes alongside it. You get your admin panel, you get identity and access management, you get audit, you get corporate moderation, you get secure border gateways, and you get Synapse Pro. And on the service side of things, you get long-term support, you get advanced security advisory, and we just generally try to look after you. Speaking of Synapse Pro, though, I mean, this slide tries to call out the differences, but basically it auto scales, it supports multi-tenancy. If you want to have lots and lots of small hosts, it's much cheaper to run, and you get guaranteed support. Right, demo time. Here we go.
So, thank you, Neil. That was excellent. Let me switch over HDMI cables and probably break the video system. Sorry, folks. That's what you think. We'll break my laptop. Let's find out. Right. So, what I'm going to try to do is to install an ESS entirely from scratch and do it as quickly as possible on dangerousdemos.net. So this is a vanilla Ubuntu box which has Kubernetes already installed on it. So I've slightly cheated in that I've got DNS pointed with a wildcard certificate to a Kubernetes ingress. But otherwise, it is completely empty. And if I go and, I don't know, look at the pods in my ESS, there's nothing there. I could go and look at everything in my ESS namespace. There's nothing there. So we probably need to create a namespace. So let's create ESS. Oh, no. The problem is I don't really know Kubernetes, so I'm actually quite a good sort of victim for this. So now I've gone and created an ESS namespace, and I need to actually install it via Helm. I do have the right Helm instructions, hopefully, in my history here. So let me quickly talk you through this command. It's a bit ugly, but I basically copied and pasted it straight from ESS Helm, which sits on GitHub. And if I go and look down for Helm upgrade, you can see that there's an ugly long command sitting there that you just go and copy paste in. And what you have is saying, hey, namespace ESS, pull some images off GitHub container registry, and then hand in a bunch of YAML to configure it. And there are like 4 YAML files here. So actually, before I run that, I'll go into the right directory. and look at the config values. And you've got like the host names. So you go and tell it, I want the host to be called matrix.ess-dangerousdemos.net, matrix RTC for element cool on MRTC, account management for mass there, chat for element web, and then an admin interface as well. And TLS, you tell it, I just want to use Let's Encrypt. And then I've gone and what do I got in values? So a couple of minor things. I'm telling it that the ingress to use is Nginx, and then I've injected a little bit of Synapse config. So this is pretty cute that you can just go straight in to Synapse config and say, hey, I'm not going to put this open federation on the internet. Sorry, everybody. I'm going to limit it to only federate with element.io. So having done that, let me go and actually run that command. So that is going to spit off a whole bunch of things. At the same time, let me look at the events that are going on, and we can see what's actually happening here. So this should take roughly a minute. I'll talk over the top that I've cheated a bit in that the containers are already cached. You can see that it's going and grabbing down things here, and it's checking the config, make sure that I've got a valid config in there, rendering it through. It's actually starting up Synapse. It's lots of Synapse-y stuff happening. And I think we can see Let's Encrypt flying through there, going and talking to Let's Encrypt to set up certificates on the cluster. And I mean, the idea here is that you don't need to be a Kubernetes genius. Like, I really do not know anything about Kubernetes, much to the horror of our SRE team. Frankly, I barely understand Docker. I'd rather be using good old Unix and BSD stuff because I'm old. But hopefully, by this point, you can see, it's trying to do health checks on the Synapse. You what? Oh, sorry. Rich, you're just getting old. Hopefully, this is starting to come up. Job completed. Deployment markers post. I think that means it's done. Right. So 1 minute, 6 seconds. Now, welcome to ESS community, blah, 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 blah. Let's see if it works. So I go to chat, if I can spell chat.ess-dangerousdemos.net. And here is a brand new element web. So I go and try to log in, except, hang on a sec, I don't actually have a user. So to create a user for the first time, you go and run mass CLI here. And I also create a user called Matthew. Probably set a password for it, would be a good idea. Going to make it an admin, yes. Create it, confirm, done. Go over here, log in as Matthew. Yes, I do want to give it permission. We really need to get rid of that. I don't need to double authenticate it. And I'm in. And we get lots and lots of enthusiasms from the product team to tell us about the amazing things that Element Web can do. All right. So then let me go and, I know, create a new room. Call it Demo imaginatively. And I will invite into this Neil. On his Element account, and there he is. Don't mean not to use that one. I also invite Amandine for good luck, just so we've got more people to demo against. And hopefully, that's looking promising. We've actually got some federation working there. Let me go and change the color scheme to make it a bit easier to see what's going on. And I can say, hey guys, we're live. Look, read receipts happening. So let me just set element call going. Hit join on that, get a conference up. Welcome to Matrix RTC and Element Cool. You've got Neil on his phone there on Element Pro. You'll need to unmute the video, Neil, hopefully. There we go. Oh, looking good. Thank you, Amandine. And that's it. I mean, that is basically, I can't see what's on the sign, by the way. So I think that's what. So it's basically a minute. On the previous ESS Classic, it took about 50 minutes. So this is just transformational in terms of it just being a really lightweight Helm-based thing with a little bit of YAML to configure what's going on. And then finally, wouldn't it be fun if we went and logged into the Helm registry for element.io, which I've already done, so I won't try to go in again. Hopefully that hasn't nuked it. And having logged into with my username and password as a proud paying Element customer / CEO, you can then do the whole thing to just upgrade it to Element Pro. So let me run it again. You can see this time it's going into registry.element.io matrix stack. And we'll have to talk amongst ourselves for about a minute again as it goes through, hopefully, going and preparing and performing an upgrade for ESS. So this is one of the really, really cool things. So you can just start off in Community, discover the joys of actually running this, wanting a support contract with Element, get it up running at scale, go and switch over to all the Pro containers. It all magically turns into Rust. Database is always the same. The schema is always the same there as well. And you can also downgrade as well if you so desire. I have no idea why you ever would, but this is the kind of model that we're working on now. Let's see what's happening here. Oh, you know, whilst this is running, I forgot half my demo. Should have showed you the admin panel. I'm going to have to show you the admin panel on Element Pro. Suffice it to say, it does exist on normal Element 2. This is always a bit stressy, this bit, when it tells you the deployment isn't ready. But hopefully it will come back up on Pro. Startup Pro. Actually, Startup Probe. Is that almost there? Right. Killing unhealthy. Deployment markers. Post. Right. Should almost be there. Let's hope this. So let me risk refreshing Element. And if you look carefully at the title bar up there, you will see that not only do we have ESS Pro, we have Element Web Pro with a darker green icon. So if there was ever evidence you needed to see that this has been upgraded, this is it. Joking aside, if I actually go over to admin ess.dangerousdemos.net, oops, yeah, let me just sign that out and go into here. I'm going to give it access to my account, and you can now see this is Element Pro up here. Previously, it would have said Element Community. You can see that we're running Synapse 138.4 Pro 1, and look at the users on the server, and I've got an admin interface, and I've got myself in there. Element Admin is really nice. I'll probably do something very naughty and get into trouble by going to admin here, where we're on a server called matrix.org, which has got 14 million rooms and 110 million users. If I go to users, it goes back to August 2014, and you can see that some guy called Eric beat me by 10 seconds to be the first person on Matrix, and then I turned up literally 10 seconds later as Matthew, and some of the original team who are still here today, hello, in the audience, going and hanging out there. I will not proceed to scroll down through 100 million users and cause the biggest GDPR disaster known to man. But suffice it to say that the Element admin interface is sufficient to be used on matrix.org with 100 million users, then it's probably good enough for your server too. So yeah, final thing I'll show you is that finally did upgrade. It took 1 minute, 24 seconds to upgrade. If I go and just look at the processes running on the box here, and I'll ignore Kubernetes, because you might as well just look at what's happening on the Unix side. Then you have here Python, which is using 153 megs of RAM. And you've also got Synapse Rust app, which is the Rust implementation of Synapse sitting there using only 71 megabytes of RAM. Obviously, the server is doing absolutely nothing, so it's not a very fair comparison. In practice, the difference in usage is more like 5x rather than 2x. But still, you get the idea. So that was my attempt to do a speedrun. Over to you now for 1 minute.
Okay. Well done to your hat, folks. I've got 1 minute. All right, hold on to your hats, folks. We've got 1 minute. I've got more than 1 minute's content here. We're going to skip through this stuff real quick. Okay, Element Pro, we've already talked about that, so we'll skip through that. Element clients, threads and spaces, user status and user directory and search is what's coming up next. Element X migration. We don't have a sunset date for Classic, but we're going to start being more assertive on this. We really think people should migrate over at this point. We think we've got everything that you need. If we haven't, come tell us. Element Web, it's all about this Element X philosophy. Go and see Danielle, David, and Gail's talk. Go and see Andreas' talk for Element X. Cryptography, accessibility. There's a load of stuff going on here. I'm not going to read this slide. Cryptography, I want to say one thing. Matthew talked about it yesterday from the foundation, but Element clients would exclude unverified devices at the latest April 2026. Element Call, it's all about trying to get it out of beta. Protocol search, I really want to talk about this, but I just can't, I don't have the time. Go and see Keegan's talk. This stuff's really, really important. Go talk to Amsha or use this if you have comments, questions, ideas. This is basically the talk for next year. So go and go talk to us or go to the Element booth. Takeaways. ESS Pro is established and the best option for serious matrix installations. Element Pro is a new client to support that. And from April, we're going to stop interacting with unverified devices. Things we didn't get to talk about. We didn't talk about multi-account. We didn't talk about call recording and Element Call. We didn't talk about room summarization. We didn't talk about multi-process Synapse. We didn't talk about bookmarking messages. We didn't talk about emoji search. We didn't talk about Aurora on web. We didn't talk about app color pickers. And we did not talk about per room language settings. That's the end of that. All right, we're done. Thank you.